The opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Scarefest Radio, the radio you can see.
And hello and welcome everyone and Happy New Year and all that stuff. The original broadcast date is January 7th, 2022. I actually said it right. I thought I'd do it like I do when I write checks and still write last year. Anyway, everybody, welcome to the new year of Scarefest TV. Not much has changed yet. Still same old stuff. And I'm going to try to open my eyes tonight. I watched a couple of my archives, and I look like you all are keeping me up, which technically you are. But anyway, so tonight, the good news is we do have a celebrity announcement for Scarefest 2022. Scarefest number 14, if you're keeping count. Our guests tonight, John and Stacey Edwards of Paranormal Sideshow fame. They're back with our second annual Weirdness in Review. Now, we do our weirdness, unlike the TV stations, we do our Weirdness in Review after the first of the year. That way, we don't miss any of the really good stuff that happens in December, like so many of them do. And it also lets me ease back in from the holiday, John, with not doing any research. You all carry the show. So I just, I sit back here, make snide comments, and everything's cool. So welcome to the show, you two.
Hey, I like that.
Hi.
Hey, glad to be here, man. Love it.
Now, everyone, if you don't know, John and Stacey, I'm not going into the entire history like I did last year, but they were about damn near my first friends that I made in the paranormal field when I got into it. So we go pretty far back, and I was a fan of their podcast before I even had a podcast. As a matter of fact, they were sort of the inspiration for me ever getting into this whole field. So I just wanted to throw that out there and congratulate them and that stuff. Everyone, I'm seeing that you're watching. My little thing on my computer shows you're watching, but no one's chatting. So unless everyone that's watching is on YouTube, you're being awfully damn quiet. And Facebook also is very, very glitchy tonight, so people might not even be able to open the damn show. All that being said, here we are together again. How weird in retrospect, compared to other years, would you all say 2021 was?
Oh my God.
It was pretty weird, especially in the paranormal, like UFO news. UFO front was just crazy this year.
There was a lot of validation in 2021, and they build us up and build us up and build us up, and then they let us down and reminded us that they're not going to tell us anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, other than that, it was like continuing 2020.
Well, at the same time, I don't know why they're even doing it that way, because most of the UFO news will come across on stuff, and it's like a collect. You can hear the meh over the internet. It's just meh, yeah. Well, that's what we've been saying for 20 years. The government is just now catching up. What do we want to start with? Oh, Billy Crank. Billy Crank's in the chat room tonight. Welcome back, Billy. Anyway, what do we want to talk about tonight? What's our first news story from 2021?
What do we want to start with?
Well, to speak on that UFO topic, which really dominated the news for us for the first part of the year, up until around June 25th, when they made their major announcement,
right?
That they can't identify everything, but they're still not going to say, you know, what it is.
They're like, we have no idea what 95% of these things are.
And to exactly what you're saying, Wes, the the people that's been in ufology since they were abducted when they were 5 back in 1963, those people hate everything that comes out. They're like, we don't trust it. At this point, they're like that what is on Independence Day? That's the guy Randy Quaid has been anally probed.
Yes.
And he don't trust anybody. He's going to fly his biplane right into the. They're that guy. Or you have the people that are younger and they just don't believe anything on the internet anyway.
Yeah, they're like whatever.
They don't care. It's a 24-hour news cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like yesterday aliens were here.
Mm-hmm.
Today, what's new? We don't care now.
I know that when we started our podcast, like 10 years ago, 11, 12 years ago.
12.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, good girl. I like that. 10, 11, 12.
However many years it was, there was hardly any UFO news. Like you didn't get stories like that. And we started this year off with the Pentagon coming out and saying, yeah, all those videos that were leaked. Yeah, those are real. I mean, they just admitted it. They didn't say it was aliens, but they were like, that's real footage. It's real stuff. And we don't know what it is.
Yeah, that's the insane part.
That would have blown our minds when, years ago.
Yeah, but
I think more than that. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I didn't. Y'all are doing great. Like I said, I'm just going to coast through this. My
You got to shut us up, Wes.
I'm telling you.
Well, you got to remember, I'm sitting here. I'm anti-government. So I almost identify with the people that don't believe a word of it, no matter what they say. The UFO lands on the White House lawn, won't even make Fox News nowadays. So, what can we do?
No. Stacey has believed ever since I met her that it's the long game. And I'm talking back in the 90s. She has always said, I believe that UFOs, when they show up, we would be part of a false flag.
It's working though, because if it happened right now, people wouldn't care. They'd be like, yeah.
She thinks it's to control society and make us all, because of the Reagan speech, like what would happen if an outside force would come down and we would all work as one.
Well, we got to find something new to spend money on. So, so
that's very true.
So why not Space Force?
Yeah, exactly. We always need a new bad guy.
I have to admit, now this is something Billy mentioned in the chat room just now. The after denying it for so many years and telling pilots, "Oh, you didn't see anything. No matter what you saw nothing." To finally come out and release that footage, even though there was a collective meh, I enjoyed it. I watched the first batch they turned out, and so I felt a little bit validated just in that the fact that even if you don't make the stretch to say, ooh, they're aliens, to admit that pilots are seeing things in the sky that don't show up on the radar or they can't catch or whatever. I think it's a big step forward.
Well, and another thing that happened this year that was a huge step forward in that area was they did the story on 60 Minutes. And it wasn't a joke. Like they didn't play the X-Files music and they didn't wear tinfoil hats when they were talking about it. It was a serious conversation, and that's never happened.
No,
not
in the history of the show.
Completely unrelated news, except for the emotional part of it. I actually saw a reporter today who does those human interest bullshit stories around the area. And actually, I think it was he was one of the national guys on one of the networks. Actually ask a tarot reader what they saw for the country coming up. Just want to put that out there, that even the news people are starting to believe our bullshit.
Hey man, I would believe tarot.
I'm starting to feel a little territorial about it. Like that's our BS. We need to be doing that.
Now, how long do you think it'll be before CNN comes on with a big documentary about Ghost?
Oh no, it won't be long. I mean, they've got their CNN Plus now, which I honestly saw the commercial for CNN Plus and thought it was a Saturday Night Live joke commercial. I was like, you can't get people to watch what you got now.
I didn't.
So who's going to sign up for it?
I did not.
Oh, it's just now launching.
Okay.
Yeah. It's CNN Plus, where you can get all your original programming.
So now this is related. What about apparently there is this huge throng of people that sit glued to their monitor all day watching the live feed from the space shuttle, because they're catching all these things that allegedly NASA deletes like 10 seconds after they're filmed. And I watched one today on Facebook, and it was basically a view down at the Earth, just doing the normal thing, flying over the country. And then there's this big triangle thing. This is not orbs, people. This is not the little dust balls they call them, and ice crystals. And no, this was a huge triangle thing that was below the space shuttle. And now I don't know where it's going to
crazy.
go.
I think people live. I mean, there's obviously a couple of people that just watch that only.
Those people are heroes.
They are.
They just record that constantly and then scrub through all of that footage and find things that would normally not be there.
No, and to backtrack a little bit on the footage, this year they obviously released the footage like 2 years ago, something like that. And then because that was when the big New York Times story broke.
Right.
And then a little bit more has come out, and it's fantastic. It's amazing. It was within this past year that we seen, some of the different crafts on the new footage, and the very crazy pyramid shaped craft. I mean, just a floating pyramid. Like when I first heard it, I was like, oh, a triangle craft? No, they're talking about a pyramid. And you could find footage online of some of the people that have seen like the floating pyramids and whatnot. But then you have the pilots and doing national news stories, just like on a 60-minute story, the actual accredited, or even veterans coming out there and saying, no, this is exactly what I saw. I don't care what people think of me. I don't care about this or that. And then it's documents backing it up. So even though they, refuse to say, well, it's from another world, they do say it's an unidentified flying object or
they don't know what it is.
They have no clue what it is.
Right. And then of course we've got the new NASA guy now, the new administrator, Bill Nelson, who is a former astronaut. He knows, and he really is kind of pushing for the whole alien
he's really
thing.
open, not open like in here's my wife kind of way, but open in the in the whole freedom of let's get it out there.
Let's study it.
So what's some of the stories you had? The UFO stories listed.
We're before you go to it, let's one question from the chat room, and this is more about you all than anything, because we're on the UFO topic. Of course, someone brought up Area 51. What are your, and Stacey, I have a funny feeling your opinion's going to matter more than his. But what is your opinion of Area 51?
Well, just in general, I think that Area 51 is exactly what everybody thought it was until it was discovered that until they admitted that it was a real place. By the time they admitted that it was a real place, they had already, I feel like, moved all their operations somewhere else. But I think that it was definitely where they studied and, reverse engineered whatever it is that people come out and say they did, that they worked there. I believe all of that actually happened. And that by the time they got to the point where they had to admit it, because people knew it was there, satellites and things like that, they had already decided to move it somewhere else.
Yes.
I don't know where, but
Now it's for tourists. That's pretty much it's
exactly. Yeah, it's just something for people to go by and take pictures of.
Yeah, it's a amazing thing to have out there in the middle of nowhere, so they're not looking where.
I feel like they employ people to shoot at you when you drive by too, just for fun.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I believe Bob was on.
Wait, that's a paid position? Anyway, okay, we're going to take a commercial break, everybody. We'll be right back with more Scary Face TV.
Everyone is talking about CBD oil, and it seems like almost everyone is using it. The research is ongoing, but the apparent health benefits are overwhelming. If you're going to use CBD products, though, what brand should you buy? First, find out where the hemp was grown. Imports are flooding the market. How potent is it? Look for a brand that plainly states its concentration on the label. And look for full spectrum CBD. This means the oil contains CBD and all the other cannabinoids, terpenes, and nutrients that are found in the entire cannabis plant. Look for Blue Leaf CBD oil. Blue Leaf Naturals is a Kentucky proud company. They use only Kentucky-grown hemp, supporting Kentucky farmers and businesses. Visit their website at blueleafcbd.com now and use the code SMILE at checkout for free shipping.
And welcome back, everybody, to Scarefest TV. In the interim, while we were at commercial break, I made John less of a floating head on the backdrop there. We're using their green screen. They have a green screen, but I had the saturation apparently a little bit too high because he was just like this hand and a floating head. But now you can see he is actually wearing a sweatshirt. So anyway, okay. Moving on from the entire alien invasion theme of the podcast so far.
Yes.
What else has been going on?
So we're just moving on.
Yeah, unless you got
okay.
something
Well,
really
let's talk
important.
about some.
Now we can talk about that for the next hour. I don't give a damn.
No. Let's talk about some of the really cool things that were discovered this year. And one of them is the oldest depiction of a ghost that was discovered.
I
and
love
it
this story.
included exorcism instructions. And this is something that was found in the British Museum by a man named Irving Finkel. Now, we love Irving Finkel. He is a curator at the British Museum. Let me see.
He's old me.
Assistant keeper of ancient Mesopotamian
I was going to say, so in
items.
other words, it's stolen. Okay, go ahead.
Well, you can find him on YouTube. He's the funniest guy, and he's really knowledgeable, all this stuff. And he's written a book about this, but they found this tablet. And when you look at it under like a special light, like, they have all the new technology now, it actually portrays the ghost of a middle-aged woman who needs to be returned to the underworld. And like, she's being led by another person. And on the back are all these instructions for what you need to do to exorcise a ghost. And this thing is like 3,500 years old.
Yeah, that's insane. That 3,500 years ago, they were already thinking about the afterlife and thinking about not just the afterlife, but ghosts visiting you. So,
and how to get rid of them.
And men being led by women.
I think it was the other way around.
To their death.
And it even it came with like an incantation to the sun god, and the text ended with the instructions, do not look behind you. So
it said what?
Do not look behind you. Like when you're doing incantation, it says not to look behind you.
Is it like a 3,500-year-old like horror movie or something?
I guess so. It's like Bloody Mary 3,500 years ago. I don't know. It's very cool though. Very cool story.
And what else?
I like it. I had not heard that, but then again, Mesopotamian ghost tablets are not my forte. I spent my summer watching.
It's really cool. You can find pictures of it.
I spent my summer judging the Scarefest Film Festival, so that tied that between that and Netflix, I had no free time.
Mesopotamian ghost tablets then.
Yeah, had no time for Mesopotamian ghost tablets. I'm not shocked. I'm actually surprised 35. Well, I mean, not okay. I'm surprised it wasn't farther before my day. I am not surprised that an ancient religion, or however you want to look at it, I guess with Ra, the sun god getting mentioned, yeah, we'll call it a religion. I'm not shocked that they had already got into the whole what happens when we leave. Because, hey, every movie I've ever watched about Egypt, they're talking about, hey, flipping coins to the beekeeper or whoever. I'm just saying, that seems to be a continuing theme in the process of I think, therefore I am. Is okay.
Right.
What happens?
Absolutely.
What happens after that? And like it or not,
Yeah, death was the biggest part of their life.
It came very quickly
Yeah,
back then.
yeah,
the poor Egyptian guys.
well, that and the average woman's
Well,
life expectancy was
It
childbirth.
came so
So
quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We also had a lot of stories last year from Egypt, since you mentioned Egypt. They found all kinds of things. I don't know if they were just trying to get the tourism back,
Well,
or
yeah.
what, but
I
it's
mean,
like-
like in the past 10 years, it's like, come to Egypt, get your head blown off. You know,
it's like every week they would trip over something and be like, oh, look, a discovery.
yeah, because they know where they're all at.
It's so weird. I always tell John that it's not really fair to be an archaeologist in Egypt because it doesn't matter where you dig.
Yeah,
You're going to find something. You're going to be like, oh, let's dig over here.
I get a little
Well,
shocked.
this year they found what they consider one of the biggest ever.
Well,
So
I get a little shocked every time that they're talking about finding a new room in the pyramid. It's like, my God, how long have you all had to, couldn't you have done a walkthrough by now? It's, so but now I think I know the news story. Go ahead and tell us about the news story. I think I know which one you're talking about.
Maybe.
I would have pulled that son of a bitch down by now.
Yeah, John would have used dynamite. That's John's answer. He's like, just blow it up, see what's in there.
I mean, we can rebuild
Fine.
it and it'll look better.
I'm from Kentucky, right next to the coal mining country. That damn what's that island that they keep digging in the well trying to find shit? You get one of our
Oak Island.
Oak Island. Yeah, you send some Kentucky boys up there. That place will be a pit within 3 days.
Oh yeah, man. We got a coal mine up here. I could send one of those coal miners from Buck one of those 110-pound, 5-foot tall coal miners, just drop him down the hole. He'd come back and be like, look what I found, you know? Be no time at all.
Well, they did have a really big discovery this year, and even Archaeology Magazine published it as one of the most important discoveries of 2021, and that is Egypt's lost city. They call it the Lost Golden City or the Lost City, and it was like
it's just called the city now.
They're just trimming it down, and it was King Amenhotep III, and it was supposedly one of the largest cities in the area, and people have looked for it for years and years and never could find it, and someone, I guess, tripped over a rock and found it. I'm not sure they managed it.
Yeah, it's gigantic. And of course they're just uncovering it, but one of the craziest things about it is if you go and look at the pictures, all of the doors to the houses and whatnot is like 3 feet tall.
Yeah, everything's they're not really saying that, but if you look at it, that's the way.
Yeah, they're not saying it.
Yeah.
But I think we found Monkskin Village.
Well, okay.
It's very small. I understand that we were smaller, but
now knowing most shit in Egypt was like carved out of solid boulders. Were these rock doors?
yes.
Now I'm getting conflicting stories here. If you put me to making a doorway through a solid piece of granite, I'm going to it will be a crawl hole. You will think that the human race is, back then was 2 foot, maybe 2 foot tall and wide. Yeah. So I can understand small doors.
But they made the pyramid.
Yeah, but those were okay. Granted, but they had like people telling them to do that. That wasn't on their own time.
Oh, this was their own time. Is that what you're saying?
They're only going to make as big a hole as they need to squeeze through. Then they're going to be like, that'll work.
We'll take your little story there and take it to the next level. Well, I'm really tired of building the pyramid and moving those 50-ton boulders on my back. Well, honey, you got to put the door in today. You can take it.
Yeah, they probably made their wife build these houses.
That was the wife's payback. Oh,
yeah.
I've got to build the door. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. What else did we have? Oh, one other thing we talked about a lot in 2021 was our timeline. Like our human timeline has been pushed back like a ridiculous amount. And this keeps happening. This is a lot of recent stuff, not just this past year, but
it's my favorite thing in the world.
But like we found the oldest human footprints ever found in North America.
Mm-hmm.
And they're so old, it was a time when they didn't think people were in this area.
A time like June.
And it was in White Sands National Park.
People lost their jobs and their careers and their reputations because they didn't subscribe to the fact that, there was any humans here before like 11,000, 12,000 years ago. And that keeps getting pushed back. I mean, they were begrudgingly admitting all that. And then, now they've got what? 23,000?
Yeah, 23,000. And what happened was they found these footprints in White Sands National Park, and they had actually found them years ago, like in 2009.
Right.
And they keep finding them, but they weren't able to date them because they were just, in the rocks. And they happened to find some that had some seeds in it. Yeah, well, they found some that had some seeds like crushed into it. So they were able to date that organic material that was in the footprint and found out that they were 23,000 years old. So
23,000. Like, we don't know what happened really in the Middle Ages. I mean, we kind of know. We've got some really poorly drawn pictures of horses. Have you ever seen one of those horses from the Middle Ages?
Yeah.
It's like a like it's got a big stink eye.
Well, it's like they told the artist, "Do you know how to draw a horse?" And he says, "Describe it to me." And
yeah, exactly,
winged it.
exactly.
Winged it.
But we barely know what happened back then. We think we know what happened 2,000 years ago. And
we think.
we don't really have any clue about ancient Greece other than what the Romans stole from them. And before then, and we're still just talking within like 5,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
This is going back 23,000 years.
Mm-hmm. And on the subject of footprints, even the oldest footprints in the world, the ones that they found in Crete, they used to think were 5.7 million years old, but now a new study proves that they are 6 million years old.
6 million years.
It's like a whole million years.
I have a technical question that you all may know, or someone in the chat room may know. Okay. How does a footprint get preserved? I mean, if you're walking on rock, you're not going to leave a footprint. If you're walking on anything soft,
I know sometimes that the footprints are being made in like
soft.
I want to say lava rock, and I know that's not right. That's not the technical name for it, but I know that
they're made very quickly when they're made in lava rock.
Yeah, they were walking. They were walking up like a mountain, and there was some kind of soft rock there. Sometimes it's near the water. You'll get some like softer type rocks. I'm not exactly
sure.
And
then it dries out.
Yeah. And it just gets preserved.
So, yeah. I mean, I basically on the day that everything went bad. So the reason we don't have footprints everywhere, these unlucky bastards were walking on the day the thing hit, or walking the day that everything, all that stuff they tell us is going to happen, and it happened suddenly. So we've got their footprints. Kind of like think of Pompeii, right? You've got all kinds of people at Pompeii going, ah! And it's,
it's not funny.
No, it's not funny at all.
It wasn't funny at all back then, but
no, it really wasn't.
I don't know how to present it differently. Oh dear, look, I believe the mountain blue.
Yeah, for the record though, once again, people that claim history is older and everything like that, that's sad. Because it's settled science, and let's not go there yet. But the 80s to me was like 20 years ago, so I can't imagine actually trying to trace anything back any much farther than that. But I do want to point out, when you first said about pushing the timeline back, I thought for sure we were going the other direction, and I want my goddamn flying car.
Yeah,
this was
no doubt.
This was promised to me in the early 70s, mid 70s, and and my Buick gets like 5 miles a gallon more than my 82 Gran Torino did. So
there's no reason we can't have flying cars. I mean, there's no way that they could totally do it.
I think they could.
I'd be really worried about them.
Yeah, I think me and Stacey are getting ready to go on the same page here. I really think they could do it, but nobody has good enough liability insurance for what would happen if you turn the world loose in flying cars.
What a logistical nightmare trying to get people.
Well, I mean, they've still yet to make a self-driving car that I trust.
Right.
So
I won't even get on a hoverboard. I don't know what a flying car.
Well, don't worry, John. I think that the self-driving trucks will beat out the self-driving cars, because if you're going to have a wreck, let's do it right.
No doubt.
I saw a news story about self-driving trucks the other day. Somebody.
Oh my God!
They trusted.
We need self-driving tractors.
They were tractor-trailer trucks, and they needed to move them
There you
cross
go.
country, and rather than like hire 10 drivers, they actually turned them loose into the wild with
Oh my
a
God.
police escort.
That's going to go bad.
Oh, it's going to go very bad.
You ever seen Maximum Overdrive? That's going to go bad.
So it's 9:30, everybody. We're going to do a commercial break, and then we'll come back with more weirdness from 2021. And we have celebrity announcements, too, so that you have that to look forward to. See you in a minute.
Spirit Mechanics is here to help. Their background includes many different specialties across the metaphysical spectrum, including alchemy, shamanism, Celtic witchcraft, angelic magic, astral travel, and more.
With over 30 years combined experience in the group, you can be confident in their ability to help. If there is a question you have that you cannot answer, they will do their best to assist you.
Metaphysics can be intimidating, confusing, and unfortunately, abused. Spirit Mechanics takes pride in being selfless in the pursuit of helping others, being humble and honest with their clients about their questions, and lastly, maintaining a professional and personable atmosphere. They want you to feel as you are coming to a close friend, and they will do everything in their power to make you comfortable and safe.
And Scarefest 2021 is proud to welcome Mr. Tom Matthews. Mr. Tom Matthews of Return of the Living Dead, Return of the Living Dead Part 2, and Friday the 13th Part 6, I believe it was. There's been so many of them, I don't know. He was in one of them. Anyway, Mr. Tom Matthews is coming to Scarefest. We expect to have announcements, everybody, every episode for the next month or so, at the very minimum. So anyway, Tom Matthews, there's our celebrity announcement. He is coming to Scarefest 2022, Scarefest 14. Also, if you're interested in volunteering to become part of the Scarefest staff, yes, we misspell it on purpose because we thought it was a really cool pun like 14 years ago. So anyway, Scarefest staff, go to thescarefest.com, click the volunteer link, and then there's a little form you fill out, and and that's how it works. And then finally, I do want to mention this weekend, despite the frigid weather and Snowmageddon, the Central Kentucky Mystical Market is on. Mostly it's still on because they had already set the tables and they were going to charge us if we didn't have it. So anyway, Central Kentucky Mystical Market, Lexington's premier monthly psychic and holistic event, is this weekend at the Clarion Hotel, 1950 Newtown Pike in Lexington, Kentucky. Stop by the Scarefest radio booth and you can get a really bad tarot reading from me. I will be there doing my really bad tarot readings. Okay, back to the show. I do have one thing to interject, and this will be a more chat room question than you all, because I don't think you all keep up with this stuff anymore. We're okay. Scarefest this year is actually got enough of a budget to actually send me on the road some places to go to Paracons and horror conventions. Horror conventions are easy. Good Paracons are hard to find, at least this time of year. So if anybody watching, if you want to tag me on Facebook and tell me where a upcoming paranormal event is in the next 2 to 3 months, because that's when, I think it's, what month did I tell you? May. Everybody decided to have them in May this month. So we're looking for some before that, because once I'm busy in May, can't go to them all. But so, and where were you all in Gatlinburg last year?
What was the name of that
the
thing?
Comic-Con, the Smoky Mountain. Smoky Mountain Fan Fest.
Yeah.
You all told me how great that thing was, and then you all didn't show up this year.
Yeah, well, we were being bad to show up, but we got COVID.
Oh.
Well,
like
that was during the time we were sick.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the guy who runs it's one of my best friends, and he was begging me to come down there. I had no problem. We were ready to. We were all excited. We did a live vlog. Started feeling like crap.
And 2 weeks later, we were like, "What? What happened?"
Yeah, we were in bed for a while.
Let's say then,
and the whole family got sick.
Well, then, yeah, y'all, that probably would have just jacked the whole thing up. I, however, am bulletproof still. I just
shut up. Shut up.
You can't say stuff like that.
It's all the vitamin D, brother. That's you're getting that sunshine.
Actually, and I've mentioned this on the show before. When COVID first started, they couldn't figure out why smokers in Italy, I think in France, it was France, because that's where everybody smokes in France. They had per capita, they had fewer smokers getting COVID than they did anybody else. Now the ones that got it died. I mean, boom, it was horrible, but they couldn't figure out why they weren't getting it. And they were looking into nicotine and all these chemicals, and then they figured it out. It's because we're always when COVID gets in our nose, we go ahead and snot it out because like 3 times an hour we blow our nose and cough, and that's the only thing they can figure.
That makes sense.
We expel so many fluids that
I figured the COVID just got in there and was like, "Oh no, those lungs, no."
So anyway,
all right. So are we ready for funny story?
Yeah, that was perfect timing. I'm glad you asked me about that. I was like, I got one for you there, buddy.
Did you want to do some of these? Or you want me
No, you're doing a beautiful job.
Okay, so
if you guys want to see me do them.
So we had a lot of really weird and just funny and offbeat stories, and so I picked a few of my favorite ones that I liked. And one of them that I'll start with is actually, it's funny that you said that about waiting till after the first of the year, because this literally just happened right at the end of December, and it's in Texas, and it's where it had the fish rain. It rained fish in Texas.
Yeah, which is not completely unheard of.
No,
we've done stories on fish falling from the sky.
It happens. It's rare.
Yeah.
But it does happen. But there are tons of pictures online where people were just, standing there, and all of a sudden there was a loud like thunderclap, and then fish just started falling, those little like 3 to 6 inch fish.
5 years ago, nobody would have batted an eye. I guarantee you last year people were losing their fucking minds going, "Oh great, now it's a plague." Just,
yeah, thank goodness it wasn't like frogs or something.
Locusts.
I understand the effect. Now, see, Texas, now, when it happens like a billion miles inland, it freaks me out a little bit more. But I figured Texas, one good water spout, shoot it up, Now, how they hang in the air, I've never really figured that out.
Yeah.
But, the Lord works in mysterious ways.
It still has to freak you out a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. But thank goodness it was only fish, because, there are stories where it does different things like bugs, like bats, and sometimes snakes and spiders.
Oh, no, yeah. Spiders or snakes.
Jellyfish, things like that.
That's where I would lose my shit. There's no doubt.
Yeah, no spiders for me either. The New Zealand story is one I want you to do. You got that? That's my favorite one.
Yeah. So New Zealand this year, apparently New Zealand.
Just in keeping for the anniversary of the Harry Potter films, because it's a wizard.
That's right.
And the Lord of the Rings films, both turning 20. And,
that's right.
And this is New Zealand. So
New Zealand has had an official wizard for like the last 2 decades, and this year they took him off the payroll. They no longer have a Wizard of New Zealand.
Well, I'm willing to bet the reasoning that they took him off payroll was anytime you pay someone to do magical shit and then the world falls apart around them, it's just like if you hired a Native American.
And then COVID?
Yeah, i.e. COVID, and, but I mean, let's say, but put it in perspective. You had a Native American shaman on payroll and said, do a rain dance, and it didn't rain. After about 30 years, you'd probably go, we need to relook at your contract.
I don't think that's.
Yeah, I'd probably put him in a casino.
Oh, it was a really cute story. Like, I mean, the guy was like 88 years old, but I think the way he got the job in the first place was he was just there sort of doing his wizard thing on the street.
Doing his wizard thing?
Yeah, like wearing the clothes.
Yeah. Hey, I believe that.
And the tourists really liked it. So they offered to pay him $8,000 a year to make appearances, as a tourism thing. And he was called the Wizard of New Zealand. And I guess that it's kind of, like you said, just sort of dropped off now. Yeah, he had a wand and everything. I don't know why. I mean, of course they gave him the job.
That's amazing. If we had a wand, if he had a homemade wand,
right,
you got to let him go.
He definitely looks the part. He had
like
the long
beard. For those of you in the chat room and watching, also called a stick. I don't trust any wizard that doesn't have the full staff going on, though.
Oh, I know. It might be like this Mesopotamians though, and coming a little bit early. So what you were saying? No. You said something about they came early. All right. So first perfectly preserved dinosaur butthole was found in 2021. I don't know why she's avoided this.
We did the story on our show.
This is news. All right.
Okay, yeah.
We're talking perfectly preserved. The discovery revealed
where did
how
the
dinosaurs
sit. This goes back to the little footprint thing. How does one preserve a dinosaur butthole?
No, they found it. They found its
the
ass.
Actual butthole.
Yeah.
Perfectly preserved piece of a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was his, and they were super excited. And it's not, well, they call it a butthole, but it's really a multi-purpose hole.
Bob in maintenance was a little more excited than everybody else, but that's, anyway.
I had a friend that used to call it a multi-purpose hole too.
So now, are they planning on cloning this beast, or just gonna like frame it and let us admire the dinosaur butt?
The story went that. Well, they were very excited about it, which I got excited about how excited they were about it, because I just wanted to know if there was an expert on dinosaur assholes, scientifically known as a cloacal vent for pooping, peeing, breeding, and egg laying. Now, let me say that again. The dinosaur butthole was for pooping, peeing, breeding, and egg laying. Everything that I thought a woman's woo-woo did until I was about 19.
Just 19.
I'm just going to say, I guarantee it has to do with chickens. It has to do with birds, I'm sure. Because apparently anyway, I'm not getting into the whole gross anatomy of the thing. I'm just going to point out that...
No, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's...
What a terrible story.
It's just, we get tickled sometimes at how excited people get about things. Like we had this story this year where they found a broken... It is a broken millstone that had a Roman carving on it, and this woman pieced it back together, and it was a phallic symbol because Romans really like to draw penises on stuff.
All over the place.
I don't really know why. And she was so happy, and there's a picture of her in the story just beaming with this stone, and there's like a big penis on it. She's like, "It's the best thing ever."
Yeah, she loved it, and the story's gross, but it's kind of cool. The dinosaur's derriere is so well preserved that researchers could see remnants of two small bulges by its back door, which might have housed musky scent glands, and the reptile possibly used during courtship. Because dinosaurs, if it wasn't the asteroid, if it wasn't a meteor, it was definitely going to be the fact that they courted was from the little glands of stink on their butts.
Mm-hmm.
If that's how,
that's how I was, you lost me the minute you said asteroid in the same context of dinosaur buttholes.
I changed it to be correct, and asteroid was just much better.
Oh wow!
So that's my news. It's I'll let her continue on hers.
All right, we still got time, right?
Yeah,
okay.
We can roll Joe back.
Okay, so this one is just sort of a weird animal story. I love weird animal stories, especially when the stories are a little bit scary. And this one's about some monkeys in India. The monkeys in India terrify me.
Man, F this story.
And this is something that happened towards the end of the year as well. But apparently in India, this incident happened where a couple of dogs allegedly, they haven't been, it hasn't been proven, but allegedly they killed a monkey infant. And ever since that little thing happened, the monkeys in this particular village went crazy and started taking revenge on the dogs. So now anytime there's a dog in the area, the monkeys will grab it, carry it up to a roof, and throw it off a tall building. Like there's one village where there aren't any dogs left. I think they estimated like 250 dogs have died now because the monkeys just are taking revenge on them for killing their little monkey baby.
So you're saying,
I'm sorry, it's scary.
So the theme of this is evolution is real.
Yeah, I mean, we did a story a few years ago about some gorillas, and there was a poacher that shot one of the gorillas. They caught the poacher, took the poacher to jail in this little village. The gorillas knew he was there, came out of the mountain. I'm talking mountain gorillas here that we didn't even find until like 150 years ago. They come out and they surround the jail in the village, waiting, trying to get him, demanding that he comes out. I mean, that's terrifying.
It was like Wild West stuff.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Damn. The real mystery though is who made the signs for the gorillas. Little protest signs. Anyway, okay, we're gonna do a commercial break, and then we're gonna do the Bonehead Weekly's movie review, and then we'll be back with a little bit more weirdness from 2021.
Extended search into the nearby communities.
Hey, Scarefest. This is Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly. This week's one is kind of new. It came out last year, but it's Spiral from the Book of Saw. I think of Spiral, I think of hams, but that's just me. You know, I'm a fat guy. I have a hard time with this one because I don't think I'm the audience for it. And what I mean by that is that this isn't the movie made for me. I saw the first Saw when it came into theaters or came out in theaters back in the day. Lee Whannell's film. He wrote it, directed by James Wan, who'd go on to do Aquaman and The Conjuring. And I enjoyed it a lot. I loved it. It was so different, and it was new, and it's complex, and had a great ending. And then I enjoyed the second and third one as well. I really do, or did. And then they kept making them, and then I couldn't care less. And this is one that is from the Book of Saw. So basically what it is Chris Rock is a detective, and there's this murder, and we find out that someone's a copycat of Jigsaw. That's the story. Then we find out more that Chris Rock turned over some evidence that got some people in trouble and some bad cops. We also find out that his father was the chief of police, who's played by Samuel L. Jackson, and a couple of short cameos. And we just find out more and more as the murders take place. There's some things I like about it. I like the kind of the ending, and I liked where it was going, but there's some things that I dislike about it so much. For example, a lot of the dialogue, a lot of the writing's terrible. But if Chris Rock is just being Chris Rock, then it works. The problem is he tries to be real serious in this, and it just doesn't sell it for me. Okay, it just doesn't. And I think he's a better actor than this movie gives it. I think he's a better actor than he is in this movie. If any of you have watched any of the Fargo and his season of Fargo, this Fargo series, then you know he's a better actor than this movie. The problem is he's not very good in this. He does what I'd like to call Jensen Ackles and Jared Paddleduck, as I like to call them. from Supernatural did a lot of this, especially Padalecki. I call it smell of fart act. Chris Rock does a whole scene of this. You smell that? It's a fart. That's what they're doing. They're smelling a fart acting. He does it down a hallway. It's awful. It's terrible. It's a terrible performance. I love Chris Rock. Chris Rock is a comedic genius. I just think that this is not the right role for him. I understand why he's trying to, or if it was, he wasn't directed very well. Actually, the movie's directed by Darren Lynn Bozeman, who's been to Scarefest and one of the nicest guys. And it looks nice. It looks like a Saw film. He directed part 2, 3, and 4 as well. And so the issue is if you love Saw, I think you'll like this movie. It has some of the traps. It has some of the same stuff. But is it a Saw film? Not really. It's kind of a takeoff on Saw. Should you see it? If you like Saw, then check it out. If you don't, then this isn't going to make it any better for you. It's not. There's just a lot of bad dialogue. But the story's not awful. So I'm kind of wishy-washy on whether I can recommend it or not. I'm sorry. It's just one of those where it wasn't made for me. I started picking it apart a little bit, and Chris Rock's performance is good when he's Chris Rock, but when he's trying to be this guy who's got all this morose, dark feelings, it doesn't work. He doesn't carry it. Doesn't have the gravitas. That's okay. Sam Jackson's only in it for a little bit. I'm sure they shot him out in 2 or 3 days. They get the most out of it. But check it out if you love Saw. If you don't love Saw, then this isn't the movie for you. This isn't where to enter. I've seen worse. It isn't terrible. I just can't recommend it unless you're a big Saw fan. So this has been Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly. Thank you.
And welcome back, everybody, to Scarefest TV. We're talking to John and Stacey Edwards, Paranormal Sideshows, where they're from. And we're talking about all the weird stuff that made the news, or made the kind of news they watch last year.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, I got a few more kind of goofy, funny stories. Okay. So there was one in Texas where the Department of Public Safety sent out an Amber Alert for a rather disturbing pair of dolls, where they sent one out from Chucky and Glenn Ray from Child's Play, and they sent it out as an Amber Alert.
Yeah, a legit Amber Alert.
Right. And it says, according to the alert, Chucky was last seen wearing blue denim overalls with multicolored striped long sleeve shirt, wielding a huge kitchen knife. And that went out as an Amber Alert. Now, I believe they were just testing the system.
It wasn't supposed to go
an
out.
accident.
Yeah.
But that was, I think that's hilarious. I would have freaked out if I got that on my phone.
Oh, I would totally put those things out from time to time.
Now, see, I would have totally just thought it was like the people that hacked the boxes on the interstate, and the road
zombies.
Well,
right.
yeah, zombies ahead, that kind of thing. I would assume it was a joke.
I love that.
By some disgruntled employee. So.
Oh.
And there shouldn't be too disgruntled anymore with what they make.
That's another story.
Sorry.
In Pennsylvania,
the
police in Lackawanna County had to go to the Home Depot and break up what they were calling an exorcism in the lumber aisle. I don't think that they classified this correctly, because they said that there were, the details were pretty scarce, but there was a bunch of people in there supposedly holding some kind of ceremony for the trees that had been turned into lumber, which I don't think technically would be an exorcism. I think it'd be more of like a memorial service. Do what?
I agree with you. I think it was mischaracterized terribly,
Mm-hmm.
but that's why nobody trusts the media.
There you go. I agree. And that was like that story made it everywhere.
It did. And I feel like that police department needs some training in the occult arts or something.
Are you volunteering?
No. Oh, it would be weird if it was an exorcism. What would they be exorcising? Spirits from the woods.
Hey, it's more real than some of the stuff I've seen.
And then a story from Turkey, and I love this story.
Love Turkey.
This one is so funny. There was a missing person. He had been out drinking with friends, and he wandered into the forest, and he never came back. And his friends got really worried about him, so they called the authorities, and they sent out this search party. And at some point during the search party, the man that was missing stumbled across it and was like, "Oh crap, a search party!" And so he joined and started searching.
Who are we looking for?
And until somebody started yelling his name, and he's like, "Wait a minute, I'm right here."
The story goes that they started yelling his name, which I would guess is Muhammad or something. But they, until he was finally like, "Yeah, what?
Right
What?"
here.
I mean, it's too good. It's really too good.
Oh, it's funny. It's like a TV episode.
That one is.
It's about as funny as the guy who wouldn't answer his cell phone when he was lost on the mountain because he didn't recognize the phone number.
That happened in 21.
Yeah, that happened as well.
I can relate to that though.
Completely lost.
I can totally relate to that.
And he was so afraid that somebody was going to try selling car insurance that
The warranty on your car has expired.
Yeah.
I think, to be fair, he didn't know that they were looking for him. Like, he was lost and he was trying to find his way back, but I think he had it under control.
But he had a phone signal.
Well, I know, but nobody, like, he didn't think he was lost.
wait a
He's not
minute.
the one that asked.
How
for
long was he out
somebody-
there?
Like 24 hours.
Okay. Yeah.
Somebody else called because he didn't show up at his room, and they were like, he never showed up. He went hiking by himself, and so he didn't know they were actually looking for him.
And 24 hours, though, it's
but
called camping.
still.
I believe it's called camping at that point.
It's probably somebody from Gen Z. They don't know what camping is. Trust me, I have them in the house right now. They have no idea.
So I think that's pretty much all of my really goofy, like, weird. 2021 was a weird year. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we do these stories each week on another show.
And feel free to
And
plug it.
that's-
I even Googled so I could actually tell people. You can go to Apple the podcast. You can go to iHeartRadio. They have a Twitter thing.
Mhm.
And I hope I've...
Was that all you found?
Well,
'Cause
no,
I'll update my Google.
I was just saying, I'm hoping I've liked your Facebook page. Yeah, no, I have. I'm a member of the group. I'm sure I've liked the page too. But anyway, yeah, Audible.
I'm sure you have.
So you're basically doing the whole thing that I used to, whereas you make it so damned easy for people to find, you can't help but become popular.
Oh, we're easy. I mean, we're so easy. But it's everywhere. Plus, if you are in the Boston area or the New York area, and a couple of other areas, we're actually on every week on Paranormal Television. And so it's a little fledgling network there that's just starting up. And we've been on there since late November, every week for 1 hour. And it's the video version of the Paranormal Sideshow. So if you want the raunchy version, you can still listen to the podcast, and you can be a Patreon member and get the raunchy version where we do it topless.
We do not do it topless. Don't listen to him.
I keep trying to talk her into topless.
He keeps thinking if he says it, then I'm going to have to do it because he said it.
I'm bottomless now.
Well, aren't we all?
Don't show us.
I love you, Wes.
I've worn three.
I love
I've
you,
worn
Wes.
like 3 pairs of pants since 2019. So
Haven't we all? Oh, so yeah, you can find us everywhere. Paranormalsideshow.com.
Yeah, I'll have all the links.
and they're obviously entertaining people. I need to spend more time. I'll have to spend more time listening to podcasts this year, because that's one of the things we're wanting to do for Scarefest is actually get some influencers, as they say, because that's what the cool kids are doing now. But
there you go.
The cool kids do that. They do that. Can I put Stacey out on a cliff to take one of those selfies that we always hear about people doing, and fall?
Speaking of falling off cliffs, I watched the remake. Well, it's not really a remake because Murder Miss Collins was a series, and then Johnny Depp apparently recently they released a movie, Johnny Depp starring in it, and the girl. Spoiler alert. Okay, it starts off almost beginning of the movie. She takes a nosedive off a cliff, and they show this damn cliff, and I'm like, that is a hazard. It's like one of those old Bugs Bunny Roadrunner type cliffs, that hang out like 50 foot with nothing underneath of it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know why I thought that was pertinent to the conversation we were having, but
hey, man, anything is pertinent to the conversation we're having.
Exactly.
At all times.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
I thought you were going to say something.
I thought you were going to say something.
No, you started. I was just waiting.
Oh, the whole cliff thing. I just want to, for anybody listening, I was imagining water underneath the cliff.
Oh.
Just in case you do fall and die from a cliff. I don't want to be suspected.
Right. Because I love water.
Yeah, she hates it. She recurring dreams, years and years. Ever since you were a little girl, she's dreamed, because I know she was a witch. She has a witch's mark in her eye, but she's had a dream of being chained up to a rock with water coming up and slowly drowning her since she was a child.
It's giving away my secrets.
Yeah, her witch's mark is right there. Got beautiful brown eyes, except for this black mark.
It freaks out the eye doctor.
Oh, wow.
It does. Then she offers the eye doctor now.
Like a third nipple kind of thing. Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's just
that's why I want to go topless.
It looks like a bruise, and I have a big lump on the back of my neck that everybody thinks is a cyst until they actually feel it, and then they go, "Oh wow, you killed yourself one time, didn't you?" I said, "Yes." That is scar tissue.
It involved a horse and landing on his head.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
As in I got thrown by a horse, landed on my head, and still got up.
We call that the Christopher.
Still get. Yeah, actually, it's a wonder I'm not, breathing through a tube and all that stuff for many, many reasons. That just being the earliest one. But yes, I survived and actually got back up, got on the horse, cussed him out, beat him a little. I didn't beat him, but smacked him upside the head. I'm quite sure
you beat him a little bit.
I beat him a little bit because
it's he knew it was coming.
Last
it wasn't pretty.
Last time I made a joke about beating an animal, somebody called PETA on me. So,
oh my goodness,
let him call PETA on me. It's
John used to have the kid, like when salespeople would call our house, he would get the kids all in the room so that when he answered, they could start screaming. Like he'd make one of the kids answer, and then he'd like smack the wall in the background and make one of them go, "Stop hitting me, Daddy!" It was awful.
And I'd be like, "I'm sorry, I'm a little busy right now," and then I'd hold the phone out,
and all the kids would scream like they were getting killed.
Shut up!
The fly in that ointment is, with all the spam calls I get, I don't think I've actually gotten an actual human being for the last 2 years.
No, not anymore. This was a while back.
You should see what I used to do when we would get the Mormons.
Oh my goodness. Especially when he first shaved his head. And at the time we owned a pit bull. So he used to put a wife beater on and open the door with his pit bull and his bald head and run them off.
No, I wouldn't run them off. I wanted to know.
Okay.
I would ask about our Lord and Savior, but with a pit bull and spaghetti stains.
Yeah. The big question is, how many cosplays do you keep loaded and ready to go for the person walking up to your house?
Well,
you'd be surprised.
You got to remember, Wes, I've been in pro wrestling for 22 years.
I'm just saying.
I've got a couple of cosplays.
I'm just saying that unless you just sit around the house in your wife beater and, waiting for the moment the Mormons show up, there seems to be a certain amount of costume change.
No, we used to get a lot of them in Charlotte. I don't know if that's a hub. I haven't spoke to many of them. I had a group of Mormon girls beat me up on the bus every day growing up, and they
called it an exorcism. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, this particular family bred like there was no tomorrow, and so they had like every age throughout the elementary school completely taken up. And they would tell me they were the Smiths too. To beat it all, their last name was Smith.
Were they Mormon or Catholic?
They were Mormon.
Okay.
Oh, they were Mormon. They reminded me every day. But they would be like, "You're gonna get it when we get off the bus."
So they were like Shiite Norman.
Oh yeah, they were definitely radical. The radical sect of Mormons.
Okay.
Oh my god.
They were bad, but yeah. Anyway, there you go. There's my embarrassment from.
Okay, so we've offended a couple of religions so far, and PETA,
and PETA.
So I think that's a good note to end the show on. Everybody, this has been Scarefest TV. We'll be back next week. My guest is Alex Montella, and I'm not sure if it's Montilla or Montella, but it's spelled Montilla. Anyway, he directed and wrote a little short film that we had in our festival called Overkill. And I'll put it this way. This short is, okay, they won Best Comedy. They almost won Best Kill. So that will give you an idea of how entertaining the short is. So if you can find it anywhere, pay-per-view or bootleg copy or whatever, it's worth the watch. Anyway, so we're going to be talking to him next week. This has been your first episode of Scarefest TV for the Year of Our Lord 2022. Thanks, John and Stacey. Hope to see you before next January.
Yes, you'll see us, but we won't be allowed back on here till next January.
I don't write another damn book. Do something productive with your time.
Oh,
shit.
It's been written. It's just not going to ever be published. So.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.